You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind.
With the emergence of global internet, a human population of several billions, an electronic noosphere, that we are now within the shadow of this transcendental object at the end of time.
I find it a little difficult to say what the subject matter is going to be, because
Magic is an enemy and truth is a menace.
Shake and bake, steps back, three-pointer, bang!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Midnight Variety Hour. We are very happy that you are joining us this evening and choosing to spend a little bit of time having a conversation with us. I'm Tom.
And I'm Adam.
And as always, we are here to bring you a little slice of the universe to help your weekend go by smoothly, or a little bit of chat time for you to just enjoy. And today it's just me and Adam. We are experiencing some inclement weather. We are expecting hail, apparently, in the near future.
And tornadoes.
So it's just us. We hope that you still want to listen. I know that oftentimes we have a guest, but today you just got your two friends, Adam and Tom. Adam, how the hell are you?
I'm doing great.
I'm doing good too.
Honestly, I love when it's just me and you talking, because that's how we started this whole thing. And
yeah, it's kind of cool. It's like a palate
and,
cleanser, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I don't feel like it's going to be any less interesting,
Yeah.
because this
And
is
then,
how
like,
we do it.
whenever we have a guest, I always kind of feel pressured to, like, talk about what they're into and, like, what their shit is all about. But now we can just talk about whatever the fuck we want. We get as weird as we like. We can
literally talk about anything we want.
Anything.
And
Literally anything.
if we get banned, if we get taken down, if they try to cancel us, hey, more power.
I would like that. I'd like to be canceled. Not... Okay. No, I don't... No. Okay, I take that back. I don't want to be canceled. But I would love for something on this show to actually, like... I would love to see, like, a little YouTube notification pop up before someone plays this video that says, like, the views expressed in this video are considered...
Have you checked on YouTube yet for the episode with Aaron if we got any kind of censoring or anything? Okay, because we did talk about vaccines, and they're so quick.
I wonder, though.
YouTube is so quick to throw any
and they just, like,
down
use
on that.
keywords. They're just like, okay, we use this algorithm. We can tell that they said vaccine 53 times in this episode or in this video.
Yeah.
But does a human actually listen to it?
I think it would maybe if, like, you contested it or something. At that point, maybe it's gone through the algorithms, and at that point, now you're saying, all right, no, this is not happening. But the algorithm said it did. Now probably someone is going to check it and double check, make sure. So, yeah, I'm sure
Imagine that's your job at YouTube. You're just the guy that listens to the shit that flags the algorithm, you know? Think about the stuff they've seen.
Oh.
There's a dark side to YouTube.
Yeah, there is, dude.
I mean, there's probably a dark side to anything on the internet, but I feel like if you're the guy who is moderating, like, the red flag videos on YouTube, you've seen some wild shit.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you can go on and watch war... You can just go watch war happening around the world.
Yeah, I watched
People
cop just ice this guy earlier today.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, stuff like that is just really wild. That's perfectly fine. But if you come out saying anything alternative to anything going on in the mainstream media, they're like, sorry, canceled.
I know.
But it's like, that stuff is just so weird. Like, the fact Alex Jones got banned on Facebook and shit like that, it's just like, I know he's crazy, I know he's wild, but... Yeah. I mean, there's a place for that, and you don't have to watch it if you don't like it. It's just as simple as that, you know?
But what do you think about when someone has a platform and they're...
He's not hurting anybody.
No. Okay, but that's not what I'm going to ask you. What if someone has a platform and they have a bit of influence and they are using their platform to inspire others to do something that is either not safe or... Like, do you think just across the board there should never be deplatforming and canceling? Or do you think... Let's say someone is inciting violence or spreading misinformation about something that is causing, you know, a health issue, or if someone is spreading misinformation about, like, okay, let's go back to the election, and you had people online that were making videos spreading misinformation about how the election was rigged and all the Biden ballots were fake and it was a stolen election and the whole thing was rigged. Do those videos deserve to retain a platform?
Here's how I see it.
I'm going to be burping the whole time we do this. So
No.
we're drinking these hard seltzers. I mean, I'm thirsty.
Get a water.
We already started, and this is my drink now.
Anyways, I see the internet or like social media as like your standard square, like in a town, like your town square. You know what I mean? You have everyone who lives there from all backgrounds, the poor, the rich, everyone in between. You know what I mean? Everyone who lives there, they all gather in that little square town. That's where you get your information, right? They post.
So you have the crazy guy who's screaming in one side of the square.
Yeah, you have the guy who's protesting. You have another guy who's
But if that
preaching his
crazy
religion.
guy is whipping up a bunch of other people and making them crazy and belligerent, then what?
Well, here's the thing. Like, I'm only bringing up that point to say that you're going to have all of that on social media. It's going to be there regardless of what you do or don't do. All you can do is, what they're doing is banning. They say, okay, you're just going to get banned. So what that tells me is like that they don't think, like basically they're saying we have the power to influence you to think and do kind of what we want you to do in a way, right? In a way, because they're processing the information that you see.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already seen this with Facebook massively. And I mean, YouTube used to be so free, Wild West, you know what I mean? Which was cool. And I loved it like that. I loved YouTube before ads, man. Like, it was awesome. But like,
oh, now the ads are just ridiculous.
Yeah. So it really comes down to, are humans smart enough to make their own decisions?
They're not. I mean, a lot of the times
and then that's one question. Another question is,
they make bad decisions.
Does YouTube or these companies have the right to?
It's raining now. Like, really raining.
Nice. And it's windy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do these companies have the right to tell you or what you can and can't listen to or watch? You know what I mean?
They are not.
There's some serious moral questions.
Yeah, there are moral questions, but they are not the government. At the end of the day,
they're a private
YouTube
company.
is there. It's a private company.
Right.
They can choose to allow whatever they want. But the thing is, like, I don't know. I mean, like, I want a lot of free speech. I want free speech to go pretty far. I think you should be able to do just about anything with free speech. But if it starts to infringe upon the safety of other people, right? Like, if someone is making videos on YouTube and they've got 5 million subscribers and they're saying...
Why does it matter how many subscribers they have? I don't think that should matter.
Oh, it should definitely matter.
No.
If their videos are being seen by 10 million people or if their videos are seen by 5 people, it's a huge difference.
But, so you're going to say that person who has 5 subscribers can say whatever he wants as long as he doesn't get a big following?
No,
he's still influencing people.
He probably shouldn't. But what I'm saying is, I'm saying for the purpose of this example, let's say you have a guy and 5 million people watch every video he makes.
Let's just use Alex Jones as an example.
Okay.
He's a perfect example.
Well, I mean, Alex Jones' content, I think, is like... I don't really know how stupid or harmful... Like, I don't know if it really falls into the, like, okay, this guy's just fucking crazy and stupid, or if anything he's saying actually affects people's, like, health and well-being. What I'm talking about is, let's say, in a vacuum, there's a creator out there. He's got a bunch of subscribers, and he's making these videos, and he is inciting violence. He's inciting people to do something that is contrary to the common good. What should happen? Should he just be allowed to make these videos where he's like telling people to go and... Let's say his beef is with the post office. He has 5 million subscribers, and he's telling his subscribers, on Tuesday, June 26th, everyone walk into a post office and burn it to the ground, or whatever, some crazy shit like that. Do those videos get to just stay up?
No, I think they should be restricted.
That's what I'm saying. Okay. So there should be some level of control. But it should be reserved for shit like that?
Yes. I don't... If you're not harming anyone, if you're not trying to get people to harm anyone, if they're not trying to say harm yourself or whatever it is, as long as no one's being hurt, I think other than that, it should be pretty free. Like, it's got to be something extremely like I don't know, because other than that, like, what else can you say or I mean, it just
what if you're saying things that are racist?
Yeah, that's that guy. That's the person's right.
Like,
that's why we live in the U.S.
So, like, if he's not telling people to go out, let's say he hates people from Peru, whatever, like, and he's not saying like kill people from Peru. He's not saying anything like that. All he is doing is like every video, he talks about a list of reasons why people from Peru are they're less than human. Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, this is why Peruvians are not human, and he's just like listing out reasons why they're just like worthless.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean,
that stays up.
That's happening right now already on the internet. So like, I mean, you have other. I mean, I was walking the other day in Houston down by the graffiti park area. You know, right across the street from Minute Maid and all that. And I was just walking down with my friend Marcus, who was on the podcast, and it's a funny story. We're just walking along, having a good old time. You know, sun shining, and there's these guys in all black, blacked out with a mic and a giant speaker, right? And they're like, hey, they're across the street from me, and we're walking. And they're like, hey, white devil. Oh. What you doing with that? You know, like, they're just calling me, like, white devil, you evil person.
You didn't tell me this story. When did this happen?
Yeah, this happened, like, 4 or 5 months ago. It happened over the summer.
So I started calling you white devil in the middle of downtown Houston.
Yes.
While you were walking with a black man.
Yes, and they were like, they were calling him like Uncle Tom, like
what?
They're like, you shouldn't be with that white man, like get like all this racial, you know, slurs, right? And like all I could do is just like, hey, you know, peace and love, man. I don't want any, you know, that's all. I just kept walking, did my own thing, couldn't say anything. They're just screaming at the top of their lungs with a mic and a speaker. I can't. There's nothing I can do or say. I just keep walking, like, all right. So that was happening on the side of the street.
Right.
There's no cops coming by saying, hey, you can't do that. They have every right to do that. They have every right as an American U.S. citizen to do that.
So all the way around,
you should have that same right. Anything that you can go do on the side of a street, you should be able to do online. I mean, it's just...
So if white guys were standing out there and just shouting like the N-word at black families walking down the street, they should be able to do that?
That's the country we live in. Whether you agree with it or not is besides the point, right? We're not talking about whether it's right or wrong.
I'm asking you, do you think that should be allowed?
Yes.
Really?
I do, because of this, because
and I'm
we
not
live
saying
in
I
America.
disagree. I'm just saying it's an interesting take that I'm sure a lot of people would disagree with.
I do, only because whenever we start to put restrictions on things and we start to say these things are illegal, these things are banned, it creates a sense of like control. And once you put control on these things, especially, I mean, we've gone to war because of these things, right? To have the right to do these things. And once you start to start slowly adding restrictions and slowly adding control onto certain things like speech, it's really hard to take it away. And that's the biggest problem with government control on a lot of things, you know? It's so easy to say, okay, we have this one moment where something happens, it's really bad, and we throw all the legislation and stuff at it to control it, right? But once that's there, and then we realize, oh shit, I don't think we should have done that. I mean, making weed illegal, for example, or certain things like that, you know, where we made something illegal because of some kind of propaganda or something happened in the past that, you know, changed the way we see something, and then we make it illegal. Now look how hard it is to make it unillegal. And there's no, you know what I mean? And it's just so obviously safe. But it's so extremely hard to make it back in normal society life. Think about what I mean?
But think about how. Well, I was gonna say, think about how crazy that is. That it's like so hard, and you have to go through so much bullshit to like change laws, and like you have to.
It's extremely hard.
But I mean, maybe it's also. I don't know. Is there benefits to that? That it's like difficult to change things that are law? Because I mean, the laws would just be changing all the time. You know. I don't know. I just am for the right to do and say whatever you want as long as you're not hurting anyone. I mean, it's just as simple as that. I think that's just everyone's human right. But at what point are you actually hurting someone with your words? Like hate speech. Are you saying there's no such thing as hate speech? There's definitely speech in which you can hate and project hate, but so to verbally assault someone in a way that actually affects their mental health. Totally fine. This is where it comes to the community and the society you live in. We shouldn't have laws that regulate that. We should have people who know what's right and wrong, and to stand up and to say, hey, we don't agree with that, or come up and talk to the people and say, hey, why are you doing this? What's going on? Or have some like the in a perfect world, people policing. People police.
You know what I mean? Not in a way that's like
Right.
going to come across as like evil or harmful or just putting people down, but just talking with the people and saying, hey, let's try and figure this out. You shouldn't be doing this. You know what I mean? Having normal, instead of a cop rolling up and saying, whoop, whoop, get in the car. You can't do that. We're taking you to jail, locking you up. Because I think there's better ways to handle that situation. You know what I mean? So it's like...
I think in a perfect world, that sounds great. People police.
Yeah, it does. It's
but
obviously...
it would never happen.
It happens all the time. It happens all the time. You've had examples where someone's about to get into a fight and your friend walks in and says, hey, guys, don't fight. Like, break it up, and it ends in a peaceful resolution, right? That's happened. That happens all the time. And there's situations like that happen every day. You don't just have a cop everywhere around the corner. No, people have to know what to do in certain situations that aren't accepted or that aren't, appropriate in our lives.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I agree. You should be allowed to say almost everything. Like, obviously, you can't shout fire in a crowded theater. That's like the most common example that's ever given.
For sure.
That's clearly correct. I don't know, though. I mean, a part of me still feels like something has to be a crime about shouting racial slurs at people on the street.
I mean...
And then what if it's not on the street anymore? What if it's now happening? You have a professor that is now like saying these things in class or something like that. Then what?
Then it
falls up to the university?
It should be up to people's like common sense and good. Like these things should be built into our society, into our culture, into the way we're teaching our kids, and like to understand that that's wrong.
Yeah.
But he shouldn't be thrown in jail for it.
Okay.
You should talk to that person, or if everyone knows this is wrong and there's a few people like are isolated, they're going to have their small little niche little thing, but they're not going to make any real change because everyone else knows massively that that's extremely wrong.
Right.
And no one's going to fall into that or feed into that because that's just bullshit. That man's crazy.
Yeah.
Let him do his thing. But obviously that's not the case. We do find instances. I mean, obviously we find instances where some of these people do find large gatherings of people who get together, but ultimately, you know what I mean? Like, that's just a part of the human psychology chat. You have to accept, like, people fall into do things that aren't right or wrong or influenced easily. Yeah, we're all influenced easily, but that doesn't mean, you just start banning shit all the time. Like, because that just turn into it. I think that would turn into a nightmare. You say, okay, that's wrong, ban it, illegal. That's wrong, ban it, illegal, and it just turns into
and then just spirals out of control.
Make everything illegal that you think is right or wrong. You know what I mean? That can ease. It's a slippery slope, and I would hate to see America, especially, fall into that when we have all of these rights for a reason. Yeah. Anyways, that's my take on that point.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting because it can also kind of go both ways. Like, one thing that's really big right now is when you hear the term hate speech being applied to people using improper pronouns, like, with you have a lot of people in the transgender, I don't want to call it the transgender movement or whatever, but there are a lot of transgender people that have said things like misgendering someone or, dead naming someone, which is when you use someone's name before they transitioned, is hate speech. And that you should have to sometimes use pronouns that have just been created, like Z and Zer, and not using those pronouns is akin to hate speech, and you should be punished.
It's obviously ridiculous.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's just obviously ridiculous to expect people to do that.
So I mean, it's just like how, like, when you say the same thing, it's like it's a dangerous precedent to set when we're making things illegal. It's also likewise a dangerous precedent when we're making people say certain things. Like, so making things illegal to say and making things illegal not to say, like, they're just both really dangerous precedents. And it's kind of weird how that's becoming a thing. I never thought I would see a day where, like, people are getting fired and, like, people are being accused of hate crimes for using the wrong pronouns and stuff like that. And people are expecting other people to just use these terms that have just never existed until recently. Mm-hmm. Like, you look at the entire human history of, like, okay, this is the lexicon we all have. We speak this language. And then these new words come up that no one's ever heard of before. But it's like, if you don't use them, you're committing a hate crime.
Yeah, no.
You know?
Yeah.
So I just think it's interesting. I've been watching a lot of videos lately or like professors have come under fire. This is very big for, I'm sure you know Jordan Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
He's done countless interviews and countless like roundtable talks about this, and I just think it's really interesting because even while I'm like I support transgender people, I support the LGBT community. That's just one thing that I just can't get down with, that the whole like forced usage of different pronouns, you know?
Yeah. You heard the theory? I heard it on Joe Rogan talk about it. About when civilizations, like at the fall of certain civilizations, you can look back at like ancient Greece, ancient Rome, and I forgot what other examples. It obviously doesn't apply to everyone, but at the fall of those empires, at least, they became extremely fixated on gender, and like
what?
Yeah, and like gender fluidity, and like became extremely.
Oh man, here we go. This is the end.
Yeah.
No,
it's just interesting because they became extremely, like there's a book written about it. I think he was bringing it up. They just became extremely, like, just obsessed with gender, which is just a very weird thing to think, like, why would that happen? But it happened at the end of their empire, and it's just like, it's very strange.
Here's an article called Gender and the Fall of Rome. Let's see.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
I think I have to...
oh, you probably have to pay for it.
Pay for this as like a paper.
Oh, what was that website we found that one time?
Shit, I don't remember.
Look at that. Feminism blamed for fall of Rome. So I don't know if this is like, that's the reason why, but it was obviously a thing that was happening. And it's like, historians know this. And it's just very weird.
So why do you think that's becoming such a thing right now? Such a huge fixation on gender, and there's like 100 different gender options on Facebook. And what do you think about that? One, what do you think about that? The whole, and this is getting a little controversial. The idea of like you can identify as having two souls, or you can identify as like having no gender at all, or you can identify as being like all these different things. There's like 100 different genders that you can say you are.
I mean, it's really hard to say for one thing. It's hard to say it's just one thing, for sure. I mean, there's obviously probably so many factors involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't know. One thing that I thought was interesting was that we live in a society today, especially in the West or the U.S., that is extremely comfortable lifestyle. We don't have fear of dying or hunger or.
And we still have a fear of dying.
No, not like that. I mean, like compared to in ancient times or like
in the
past,
like
where
in another country where you're like, I'm going to sleep. I hope my village doesn't get raided at nighttime and my whole family dies.
Or I don't get eaten by a tiger.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like you're out living tribal type lifestyle. Like we're obviously live in houses, extremely safe.
Right. We have a police force, and we have
And so we live these very comfortable lives where we have a lot of free time, and things happen in your free time. Where you're just like, you know what can I identify with? What group can I get involved with?
Right.
And things like that. And this is not to say that people aren't born or probably born into the wrong body, because I think that's probably a small percentage of it for sure. But other than that, I think there's a lot of influence through social media. There's a lot of influence through even on TV and now in our society. I feel like it's being praised to be yourself and be different and be authentic,
which is great.
Yeah, it is very great. But whenever they're praising, like changing gender and saying like this is amazing, like so good for you, like all these things, and like praising you for it. And then you automatically have a group that you're in, and you're special, and now you're in this minority where it's like you're going to be treated differently, and you're going to be treated special, and like you have these different things now. It's like I think that's a part of it, where people want to be a part of a tribe, people want to be, you know what I mean, special. They want to be different, like, and that's cool, that's good. But what happens a lot of times is people are changing gender younger and younger now, at the age of 10, 14, even younger than that.
People are giving their children like hormone blockers.
Testosterone.
Like pre-puberty, prepubescent teens and tweens, or whatever the fuck you want to call them. Which is...
it's crazy because obviously at that age, you don't really know who you are, what you want to do.
Right. But people are so fixated on like, oh, we have to like, this is their truth. We have to believe it because this is what they're saying. And it's like their brain isn't even formed yet.
Exactly.
But now we live in a culture where it's like, I don't know if it's just people are so afraid of being caught on the wrong side of history or what, but they're like, yeah, my 9-year-old says that he's actually a girl, and so we're gonna start, giving him estrogen, or my 9-year-old girl wants to start taking testosterone, and it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, or even the mother or the father sees the child at a young age, maybe 2 or 3, and says, oh, he was meant to be, or she was meant to be a different gender. So, like, they're just seeing, like, just the child behaving, doing things, and they say, oh, I think our girl is supposed to be a boy. And then starts teaching that child that, and then believes that themselves, and then tells the child that's what you should be. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. That's happening too. And so it's just an interesting time. And who knows? Maybe it's a sign of the fall of our empire. I don't know.
Every day I think we're kind of like, I'm like, maybe this is the day the world ends. I don't know.
Speaking of world ending, what was the topic we were going to talk about? Was it UFO? Oh no, we're going to talk about UFOs.
Yeah, we wanted to talk about UFOs eventually today.
And aliens, and
well, a lot of people are saying we're like inching closer and closer to a war with Russia.
Oh yeah, that too.
I guess this all comes down to what's going on right now between Russia and Ukraine, and it's all going to come down to, like, if the United States, and I'm not very informed on this topic, so I'm kind of just talking out of my ass a little bit, but I think it essentially boils down to if the U.S. comes to the defense of Ukraine against Russia, because Ukraine and Russia are in an ongoing conflict right now, and it's heating up. It's getting a lot worse. I mean, they're essentially like at war with each other. If we were to come to the defense of Ukraine and get into it with Russia, like, what would that start? Because China and Russia are aligned. China, Russia, and Iran, I believe, are all aligned, and they have a couple other big allies. So then it would become like us versus some of the biggest powers on the planet. I guess then our allies. I mean, it would start a World War III, essentially, if we were to go to war with Russia. I mean, at least that's what I think would happen. And so a lot of people are saying it would be a nuclear war. We all have thousands of nukes pointed at each other. And if we were to go to war with Russia, supposedly multiple people think it would be like, launching ballistic missiles at each other and stuff like that, which would probably spell the end of the world. If in modern day times, I know we've already used the atomic bomb on someone before, but I'm just saying in modern day times, if we had 2 countries or multiple countries that all were capable of executing nuclear warfare, I think that would be it. I think we'd be done.
Do we have technology to intercept a nuke?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have nuclear deterrent systems.
So,
we have.
I mean, like, how? What do you think? I don't know. I need to talk to someone about this.
Intercept is a weird term because I know we have devices that, like, there's planes that have all this technology on it to where they can, like, it's got like I don't want to call it like a tractor beam, but it can, like, essentially track the nuke and somehow neutralize it. I don't know if it explodes it prematurely or if it can somehow deactivate it or what. But we do have some nuclear deterrent systems. But then there are also bombs that are designed to circumvent those deterrent systems. So I don't know. I'm not really well versed in our nuclear defense system capabilities.
Yeah, it just makes me think, like, if a country were to launch one right now, like, how capable are we of making sure it doesn't hit land? You know what I mean?
I don't know, because now it's like you don't really have much time.
Yeah.
Like 30 minutes. Like, from the time it launches, it could be here.
Yeah.
It goes up so high and it goes so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about, like, Russia to the West Coast in 30 minutes probably, which is the length of, like, a fucking episode of SpongeBob. Like...
Another defense system we have are UFOs. You heard about the UFOs who...
What do you mean? How's that a defense system?
They, like, shut down nuclear bases. Like, they're really known for, like, shutting down nuclear bases. And I think one was in Russia or somewhere out there. And, like, where they literally came over. I think it happened in the U.S. too, where some unidentified flying objects came over and just shut down. About that. Yeah. They shut down the nukes and the base. And, like, where they couldn't launch them, even if they wanted to. And they thought they were being attacked by... They thought they were being, like, under siege by some other country.
I don't really know about, like, the legitimacy of all that. Let's look up.
Those stories were told by, like, commanders and, like, high officials whenever they were, like, being, like, going into...
Unexplained deactivated nukes incident by UFOs at Malmstrom Air Force Base in 1967. March... Okay, this is an article. Go.
Yeah, man, it's like, when we have high-ranking officials saying things like this, is like,
yeah,
you can't just call them crazy.
On March 24th of 1967, men see an unidentified object hovering over Montana's Malmstrom Air Force Base, home to nuclear weapons, which are all disabled simultaneously. Former Air Force Captain Robert Salas, who was Malmstrom Air Force Base, he was at Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana in 1967, when 10 ICMs, I believe that's intercontinental missiles, that he was seen overseeing suddenly became inoperative. At the same time, the base security informed him of a mysterious red glowing object in the sky. The incidents were never officially explained.
There you go.
I mean, what do you make of that?
Exactly.
Is it really aliens like playing parent, just trying to be like, okay, let's take this sharp toy away so that you don't put your brother's eye out, you know?
I think so, yeah. I mean, if that were to happen, and there's stories of UFOs literally while missiles are being launched for like test missiles and stuff like that. Like there was this one story of this UFO that came up and literally just like was moving so fast and so freely like around this missile in the air, like just like going around the missile while it was flying, like just being able to maneuver like crazy, and it just literally just shut off the missile's like capabilities.
I've never heard. I mean,
yeah, dude.
When was this?
Dude, I've heard so many stories. I've read
but you gotta look into them, man.
I have. That like everything I'm telling you and everything I probably will tell you is from like high-ranking officials, like because I've watched like hours of like these guys just like going in front of like when do they go in front of like you can see it on C-SPAN and stuff like that whenever they do like briefings and stuff like, yeah, C-SPAN, sorry. And yeah, that's where I've seen most of that stuff was just literally just high-ranking officials just telling their story about a UFO.
So what do you make of that?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I'm just telling you what I've heard of stories from those guys. So.
I mean, do you think that UFOs are actively deactivating nukes and they're actively policing our usage of weapons? Nuclear weapons?
I mean, if they're here, which they are, according to the Pentagon.
So they're super fucking here. Yeah, for sure.
If they're here, according to the Pentagon, UFOs, whether they're aliens or not,
I don't
they're
like
definitely
using the term UFO, though.
Yeah. What do you like using?
Why? If we're talking about alien ships, I don't like calling them UFOs because UFO just means unidentified flying object.
But we don't know
if
they're alien ships.
But I mean, technically, a weather balloon, if you can't confirm whether or not it's a weather balloon, you just call it a UFO.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, while we're having this discussion about are UFOs disabling...
All right, we can say alien technology. We should say
are aliens...
Alien technology.
Okay, sure.
Technology from another planet or another dimension is here, and it's influencing the way we are operating.
Because there's been a lot of UFO videos coming out recently.
Mm-hmm.
But what's new now is that these videos are being confirmed as authentic, original videos by the Pentagon.
Yes.
Like everyone has seen the Tic Tac UFO video.
No, and everyone hasn't, dude. You'd be surprised.
A lot of people. I'm sure a lot of people
I hope so.
have at least heard that term, Tic Tac UFO.
I hope so.
But I mean, that video was confirmed by the government.
Yes.
Or I don't know if it was by the Navy or by the government or by the Pentagon, whoever did it. They've confirmed that it's an authentic video of a craft that they cannot explain.
Taken by a commander.
A U.S. naval fighter pilot, yeah.
From a U.S. military object or vehicle. Like, that has sophisticated instruments to measure and to, like, it's extremely authentic.
Yeah.
And it's as authentic as it gets. It's probably the most, like, reliable source that we have.
Yeah.
Probably have ever had. That we know of our knowledge. You know what I mean?
So it's like...
And this guy, Commander David Fravor, has come on multiple people podcasts.
We should get him on this podcast.
You can see him on Lex Friedman. You can see him on Joe Rogan, detailing his story and what happened. And you can tell he's extremely smart.
Right.
Top Gun, fighter. Like, it's an amazing story.
And he's being allowed to go out and just talk about it. Like, if the government was trying to hide it, they could...
No, they're not.
Yeah, what I'm saying is...
Because he didn't sign an oath or anything like that. So he has every right to go out and talk. Some guys have signed oaths and came... Like, for example, Bob Lazar, who technically was signed under, was under oath, and he came out anyways and did that. So...
So, but what do you think about that? What does that mean that the government is now telling us and confirm, like they're telling us about aliens now? I don't want to say aliens, but they're telling us when there are crafts that they cannot explain. Like, what do you make of that?
I mean, it seems like they're just kind of like testing the waters to see what they can get away with.
I think what the government is definitely slowly warming us up to the eventual reveal of, the concept that aliens are among us in some way, shape, or form. I don't know how they'll phrase it. I don't know if I want to say among us, but that they have been here, or that, you know, they can confirm that the crafts we have seen are being operated by beings not of this world. Because recently a video came out from a naval ship. I believe it was the USS Kidd.
Yeah, can you pull that video up? The one with the pyramid?
There was pyramid-shaped ships flying around roughly 700 feet above the USS Kidd.
Which is not that high. That's the train.
Oh, we could have played that off like Aliens. No one would have ever seen it. There's a train behind the building that
I don't even know if
that's.
I don't even know if the mic's picking that up.
If I can hear it in my headphones, the mic's picking it up.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. All right. Hold on. So let's see. But okay. So anyway, these pyramid-shaped ships flying over the USS Kidd, and they caught it on like a night vision video. I don't remember when it happened, but I remember that the Pentagon recently, like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, confirmed that it is an authentic video. It was not the creation of CGI. It wasn't like someone just made this video, cooked it up in their basement. Like, it was actually taken by United States Navy personnel.
Yes.
Capturing an actual craft that they cannot explain.
Yes. And so immediately I would just hate for anyone to write any of this off, you know, as just bullshit. You know what I mean? Because we've had so many incidences like this that there's obviously something here. There's something to it. Something's happening. And we need to get to the bottom of it, you know? Like,
right.
We just...
Let me try and go to YouTube, because I hate video searching on Bing.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that this has been happening for so long, for so many years, all the way back to... I mean, every country has hundreds, if not thousands, of documented UFO cases. Every country. They have tons of it. So this is happening all around the world. And, you know, it's like you can't discredit this, you know, in any way. Like, there's something happening here, and it's just point blank, period. And here's an amazing thing, which Lex Friedman brought up, was about why it's so important that scientists don't start, like, debunking these things immediately. Right. Is because of the implications it has on science and obviously propulsion technology and our understanding of what, you know, energy, the future of energy could be, because they're obviously not maneuvering on gas and fuel. They're using most likely
they're using some sort of propulsion that we have no idea how to explain it. Right. All right, so I have a video pulled up. It's kind of crappy. I mean, like, I don't really know how well it's going to come through, but
it should be fine. Yeah, I mean, you can obviously right there, that blinking object looks like a pyramid.
As it comes closer,
for anyone who's listening to this, you can go to our YouTube and watch the videos we're pulling up and articles.
Exactly. Or just go to YouTube and just search U.S. Navy pyramid UFO. Now, if you look, there's two other crafts right here. So.
Yes, and they're very... You can't see them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Navy came out and said, like, yeah, we have no idea what the fuck that was, but this is a legitimate video. So, I mean...
You can't discredit that. You can only say it's there.
Unless some other country has developed some wild shit and somehow kept it from being discovered.
Yeah.
Which is technically a possibility.
Yeah, it for sure is.
I mean, back in Nazi Germany in the 40s, Nazi scientists were trying to develop a flying saucer.
Yes.
And I believe they might have succeeded. Like, I think they might have actually created a flying saucer that flew to some degree. It's probably janky as fuck, and it looked stupid, and it fucking sucked probably. But I mean, I think they did actually create a flying saucer, a saucer-shaped craft.
Sure.
That probably just had like one jet turbine in the middle somehow. But what I'm saying is, I don't know, maybe Russia was like cooking shit up, and they came up with some pyramid-shaped ship, and they were like, let's go fuck with these guys. Let's fly, let's fly it over their ship. So...
It's definitely a possibility.
But I would say that is way less of a possibility than it actually being manned by aliens.
Yeah, and I think for the simple fact that for keeping technology like that secret for so many years would be extremely hard.
Yeah.
I mean, ever since, you can go back to Roswell. You can go back 60, 70 years. Yeah, and if that technology was around, and then for it to be kept secret this long, it's highly, it's a little unlikely. So that leaves... kind of the most obvious answer here, and it's objects that we are either from another dimension or another planet, and that's pretty much it.
So then if the government is slowly warming us up to hear that news confirmed, like if they are warming us up for the concrete statement, hey, public of the world, aliens are here, they're real, they've been here, we see them all the time, what happens? What does the average person do? Do they freak out? Do religions crumble because people just like no longer find truth in their religion because their religions say nothing about aliens? There's nothing in the Bible about aliens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like, does the reveal of aliens make the world just like billions of people who just like cast religion to the side and
hold on though.
What?
Because that's your interpretation of that religion, right? Because I mean, we were talking about the other day, like with the angels, and we mentioned this on another podcast. I think the one we did with us too as well, where like some angels are described as like wheeled beings with like lights with eyes all around them. Like maybe that was UFO.
So you can go back to, and someone, if the proof of aliens comes out, people could go back and reread the Bible and go,
exactly,
hey, this actually explains. Maybe those wheel-shaped things were actually flying saucers. You know what I mean? Like
or the stories from India, and like you have other ancient accounts of like sun gods and different things coming down from the heavens. Like those could easily be UFOs and we didn't know how to describe.
Maybe that's how humans go back and re-explain. I don't see why aliens and religion can't coexist. Like as a Christian, I have no problem with the idea of Jesus like having gone to other planets and stuff like that. I don't know why God would make so many planets and only put life on this one, you know?
Yeah.
So, but what do you think the average person,
I mean,
the average like Karen in Nebraska, what does she do when she finds out about the aliens?
Okay, that's a good question, but here's another question I think we should answer first.
What?
And that is it the government's right to keep knowledge like this from the public? Do they have the right, as a human being, and as us fellow human beings and fellow universal beings that are possibly living or coexisting with other universal beings, is it their right to tell? Yeah, right. It's obviously not their right.
I think not almost. I think it's their right to tell us.
Exactly.
I think as a fucking species, as humans, if they have discovered we're not alone in the universe, I think it is their moral obligation. Obviously, they don't give a fuck, right? They do fucked up shit all the time. They don't care about morals. But I'm saying, I think morally, if we're just looking at it objectively, as humans, morally, if they have discovered that we are not alone in the universe, they should be obligated to tell us.
Yeah.
And they should be obligated to tell us every single detail.
Agreed.
How often they've been here, how long we know they've been coming, how much technology that they have from them, what they look like, what they fucking sound like. You know, like, I think we should know everything.
Yeah, I agree.
Or maybe the aliens have told them, like, hey, don't tell the public or we'll erase you. You know, like, I don't know.
No, because, I mean, it's just hard to say because if you're in the government shoes and you have that information, I mean, information is power. And coming from that perspective, if I was in that military or if I was in a government and we had a source of knowledge like that and we're trying to like reverse engineer things and we're trying to figure out what it is and how we can get a step up on other countries around the world, I mean, we're immediately the most powerful country by far again. You know what I mean? If we have that kind of technology and power and understanding of. So there is that, and then...
See, that's what it all comes down to, man. It comes down to, like, us viewing ourselves as the human race versus us viewing ourselves as Americans versus Russians versus the Chinese versus the Iranians versus the... It's all about, like, oh, we got alien technology. How can we weaponize this and have a leg up on the other country?
Exactly.
And it's like, yo, man, that's really what we're fucking out here doing right now? Like, we have proof of aliens, and we're over here, like... Okay, how can we use this information that we obtained from the aliens to...
And we obviously don't know if that's happening, but it's a real possibility.
It's probably happening.
It's a real possibility. But, so, I mean, going back to your question about, you know, what would happen if the public knew. And, you know, I would like to think that people would, you know, sit back and think about it first and think about what that means for their life and what that means as a human and what that means to be living in this solar system, in this universe with other beings and, like, how that makes them perceive the world differently. I would like for that to be the first, you know, instinct, but it probably won't.
No.
I think there'll be like maybe a few sides of it. I think you'll have some people who will be like, all right, that's great. Now let's go back to our daily lives and work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And just understand that we're living with other species around us. Like,
right.
And then there'll be other side of the population who are just like, well, if that's that, then we can just destroy our entire system because it means nothing, because there's other universal beings out there who can come down here at any point
right.
and do whatever they want. So maybe it'll just create like anarchy to where, like, to understand that, like, the system we've created is all like kind of bullshit.
Mm.
I don't know, maybe something like that, but I don't know, I'm just trying to think out loud.
I'm just wondering what would happen.
You could have either a couple situations. You could have a situation like Independence Day, where the aliens like attack.
I know, man. Who knows? Like,
or
2 years from now, maybe Bill Pullman is standing on top of a fucking plane and he's like shouting about how tonight we fight for like, we will not go quietly into the night, and he's just like shouting. Or we could have a situation where they're like, we are here to fix all of your problems, and like they come down and
or you could have like an E.T. movie, you know what I mean, like where the beings,
some goofy fucking kids in Indiana are just running around with the glip glorp, like
where they're just like, but I really do think ultimately humans will know what to do. I think as a global species, I think we'll know what to do as far as like, I think we'll be okay, honestly. If it came out today and they said, UFO or aliens are real, honestly, I think my gut tells me I think we'll be all right. But there's always that chance, that
who I think got it right?
Who?
I've never seen a movie depict what I think human and alien interactions would be like more so than District 9.
Yeah, I was just about to say that too.
I really think it would be like District 9. We would be trying to like, if they ever came down to like live amongst us, there'd be all this paperwork, and they would have to fill out like alien immigration forms, and we'd be building a separate neighborhood from them, and there would be like hate crimes committed against them. People would be throwing fucking cans at them and shit, and we'd be putting them in slums, and it would just be like we'd be trying to learn how to use their weapons so that we could go fuck up these other countries. Like, literally, we're so fucking stupid that we could have another species living amongst us, and we're like, yeah, give us your guns, teach us how to use your guns, like so we can go fight the other country of humans. And it's like, what? You have aliens here, and we're over here worrying about how to fight. I think District 9 hit the nail on the head. That's what it would be like if aliens came down here.
Well, that's
tomorrow.
assuming that those aliens aren't like,
sure. Of course.
They are going to have their technology, because they were obviously stranded here.
Okay, sure.
They didn't have their technology.
Yeah, it's all situational, but I'm just saying in terms of human behavior.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I think if that situation happened, like if their ship came down and the fucking catalytic converter fucking dropped out of it and they were just stuck over Soweto or wherever the fuck they were, Johannesburg, I think that's exactly how it would have gone. And I just think it's funny that like that movie is so realistic. I love that movie so much. I pray we get a sequel to that fucking movie.
It's a good movie. The fact that we are so fast and so quick to exploit someone or something else that we feel like we can, or if we feel like we have the advantage, and if they're peaceful or not, if we feel like we have the advantage, we're going to exploit them. I mean, it's kind of as simple as that. And that's happened throughout history. You go back to the Spanish conquest, when the Spaniards were aliens to the Aztecs. They were literally aliens. They thought they were gods.
They came over on these crazy ships. They had never seen anything like it.
Horses.
These big sails blowing. And
they thought that horses were just a giant species of dog or something. Like, they never seen a horse before. They had never seen a sword, like weapons like that they had. And
fucking golden metal armor. And
I mean, they were literally an alien species that came there, and they're just like, what the hell are you? You know what I mean? And but that also ties in back, because they weren't stupid by any means, like the Aztec people. And I think they were technically called Mexica, I think is the correct term. We use Aztec as like a generalization. But they had like they had this story or this myth where, like, I think it was Quetzalcoatl. I forgot how to say the name of their god. But they were waiting for
Quetzalcoatl or whatever, something like that. Yeah.
It's like the feathered serpent or something was supposed to be coming back. A similar thing to
thought
Jesus.
That Ponce de Leon was or whoever. What explorer did they think was?
Yeah.
Quetzalcoatl?
I don't know how to say it.
It's something like, but it's something like that.
Yeah, it's like a Q. But yeah, they thought that because they were waiting for their god to return or a god to return, and they assumed that was that. Like it was just like if Jesus, like you know what I mean? Like it was like the same story with like Christianity and Jesus. Like whenever Jesus is returned or whenever some kind of prophet or God is supposed to return, it's very similar like that. And they just fit the description, the picture, so they ended up like giving them everything. They were like, "Hey, we'll give you gold," and then they just took advantage of it. They were just like, "All right, this was genuinely nice, loving people." Obviously, they had wars and they did a lot of things that were that we looked upon as like not moralistic or whatever. But ultimately, there are people, they're their own civilization, and we immediately saw a little advantage, and we could take advantage of them and exploit them, and boom, burn all their shit, kill them all, get rid of them. Now we own you.
Think about if people back then saw like Lil Uzi and he came down with writing all over his skin and a diamond in his forehead. They probably would think he was an alien. You know?
What the fuck? Yeah.
So,
funny.
but it's just like, okay. So what would you do if like you met an alien, right? Like, let's say one day they're like, okay, guys, we're disclosing this information. Aliens are here. They are among us. We are going to slowly integrate them into society. And like, you were out in public one day, and one day you encounter another species. Would you be afraid? Would you just like...
Here's a simple fact.
What would you do if you saw an alien?
Here's a simple fact. If an alien or another creature was able to make it here to Earth, they're obviously far superior technologically wise and probably... Like,
everything-wise.
Everything. They're
except for
far
maybe
more
physically, right? They could be like a fucking little weak jelly creature that just has a massive brain. So
So at any point, if I were ever to run into any other creature not of this earth, I would know immediately they're far superior than me in many ways, as far as just an advanced being. And so at that point, I would know that, and then try to act off of that and be like, okay, let's not do anything stupid here. You know. Try to communicate them the way I can, you know, like maybe just say like this, Adam, my name or something, and just try to communicate that way. But I mean, what else could you do? Like, other than just say I'm harmless, I'm safe. You know what I mean?
Do you think in your lifetime you will ever have a conversation with an alien? Maybe you already have, but I mean, like, knowingly. Do you think in your lifetime you'll ever knowingly, like? I love in the future, like, when you're, like, watching people, like, walk around a market in, like, a fucking Star Wars movie or Star Trek or, like, you're playing Mass Effect, and there's, like, a big market, and you're just, like, bargaining with, like, hey, come on, man, I paid 13 credits for this, and you're just, like, talking to aliens so casually, and they're just, like, all walking around.
Like Men in Black?
Yeah, like Men in Black. Do you think we'll ever get to that point?
Maybe, dude, maybe. I mean, examples of that would be, like, no, Paul Hellyer was the defense.
Yeah, he was the Secretary of
Defense for Canada. He says there's multiple species of aliens that have been here.
He said 6.
And
6 species, is that correct?
Yeah, something like that. And so if that's the case, then humans have already been in contact with them and talking to them, because we obviously know
the government has.
The government,
not your average human, but yeah.
But humans. If that's the case, if that's true, which I don't know, then we probably already have that conversation.
Why would he lie? So. It's definitely true. I mean, I don't want to say definitely.
I mean, he's extremely credible. He ran a defense of a country.
A major country. Like a major country.
If anyone doesn't know Paul Hellyer, look this guy up. He's openly come out and said that there's multiple different species of aliens
that he says
are here on Earth right now.
The government is actively working with today. He names he talks about the species and what they look like.
Yeah, everything.
My favorite is the tall whites. And he's like... We called this one species the tall whites. Yeah. They're like 8 feet tall. Yeah. And they look Scandinavian, and they have like 50 teeth or whatever. They have like human looking teeth, but they have a bunch of them, and they're like 8 feet tall, and they're super white with like blonde hair.
Do you think...
Maybe that's why all the angels, paintings of angels and stuff, they're like white with blonde hair, and maybe... maybe it was all the tall whites.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's the case. But
I'm just saying.
But I think okay, now tell me this though. What do you think about, on this topic, about humans being either created or manipulated genetically by a
like in
alien
Prometheus?
Species? Yeah, like Prometheus. Like what if like we were just like a small little species from another planet that broke off with an asteroid or something, and that cell from another planet came and hit
sent a
Earth.
little DNA pod here, and then it mixed with like the shit in the water here. Yeah,
that's very possible.
It's possible. It's not what I believe, but it is possible.
Because there's organisms that can live in space.
Sure. Have you seen Mission to Mars?
Which one was that?
Mission to Mars is a movie about some astronauts go to Mars, and
Who's in it?
Gary Sinise, Don Cheadle, Jerry O'Connell.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I have. I don't know.
Pretty good movie. I think Tim Robbins. I think that's how you say his name. I think that's what his name is. Because I know there's like Tom Robbins or Thomas Robbins, the author. Then there's Tim Robbins, the actor. Then there's like Tim Robinson, the motivational speaker. And like I always get them all mixed up. I think there's an actor named Tim Robbins, and I believe that is the name of the man in this movie.
Okay.
But the main character is Gary Sinise and also Don Cheadle. Anyway, a crew of astronauts goes to Mars. It's set in the near future, probably. It came out in the 90s, but I think the movie is set in like the 2030s. Anyway, they go to Mars, and they are exploring this. They find a rock on Mars that is shaped like a face.
Oh, it's based off of
which
the
exists
actual
in real life.
Yeah,
like there's a vaguely face-shaped rock here. Yeah, but I mean, it's not.
It's not that.
It kind of looks like a face.
I know what movie you're talking about. That reminded me.
The rock in this movie.
Yeah.
Really looks like a face. Like it has eyes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, something happens, and they die. The original crew that's there dies. Well, another crew goes over there, I guess, like to find out what happened or whatever. They find Don Cheadle. He's still alive, but the rest of his crew has died. And the face rock is like emanating this frequency, and they figure it out. And it's a key. Yada. I'm not going to spoil what happens in the movie. Well, okay. Everything after this is a spoiler. So if you plan to watch Mission to Mars, skip ahead in the podcast like 5 minutes. So they've like cracked the key. There's this frequency being played, and they figure out like this frequency within what's being played, and they figure out how to get inside the face rock. Okay. They go inside, and they're greeted by an alien. And the alien essentially, like, they come into this big room. It's like a giant planetarium. It's almost like a 3D augmented reality space where like it's like a layout of the solar system. Anyway, and they like essentially show the human astronauts what happened to Mars. And like Mars is like this lush, green, thriving planet with water. But then the planet becomes uninhabitable. I think an asteroid comes and fucks the planet up. And then you see a mass exodus from Mars. All these ships leave. Every ship is leaving the planet. But you see one ship go to Earth. And like then it like plays this whole thing of like the ship splashing down and like the DNA mixes in the water and all this. Anyway, we are apparently, if you listen to Mission to Mars, Mars was inhabited by a species of people. They left because their planet was uninhabitable. And we are them. We are like the product of them shooting like a DNA bomb to Earth. And we are really a species that originated on Mars.
Yeah, I like that.
It's way better in the movie. That was a horrible description. But watch the movie.
No,
because it's for real. Like, for real. It is a good movie.
Okay.
Not in the sense that, like, it deserves an Oscar, but in the sense of, like, for
makes
2 hours, you will be entertained.
Yeah, for sure. And another theory I like is, like, what if maybe, like, spores? Because you know how, like, mushrooms release spores?
Yeah.
Like the fruiting body of mycelium called mushrooms release spores. And like those literally just travel through the air, and they can live in like a vacuum. Like spores can live like until whatever. You know, it's like, so if like what if something hit a planet or somehow or way or another, some kind of spores were released into the universe, landed on a planet somehow, maybe by a rock or something, or however the fuck.
It's possible.
Somehow got onto a planet. That spore was in a perfect condition or somehow evolved into this and that, and then we became humans.
It's possible.
It doesn't even have to involve another alien.
Some scientists think
like
that octopus is octopi. Cephalopods. Some scientists think that cephalopods are not originally from Earth. That they somehow came from another planet, whether alien ships brought their DNA here or some sort of like you mentioned, like, you know, things drifting here through a vacuum or whatever. But apparently there's like no discernible chain of evolution that would give us current modern day octopi.
There's a lot of things like that in nature. I look at them like, how is that of this earth? Because when you think about evolution, I'm just like, even us, even humans, I'm like, I still look at monkeys. I'm like, where's the in between?
Right.
I see monkey. I see human. I don't see the in between.
And it's like, if we have humans, why do we still have monkeys? I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. There's things like that are questionable. I'm like, just off of based off reality.
I don't know how much I believe in evolution. Like I haven't done my research, and I definitely believe science is great, and we should usually trust scientists. And I know the vast majority of scientists tell us that we have evolution to thank for, where we are today. But I don't really know if I believe it based on the amount of knowledge I have about it. So maybe the whole aliens giving rise to cephalopods is stupid, because maybe that's not even how. Maybe evolution isn't even what's occurring.
Could be something else completely.
Yeah, but the idea of us being the product of life elsewhere.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's possible.
Yeah, it's very possible.
Now in Prometheus, they actually engineered us. They call them the engineers.
Yeah, and that's the ancient story of the Sumerians. They have written documents. The oldest known written language, the Sumerians, they have a history. And in their history, they say that we were engineered, just like Prometheus, to extract gold. Now, this is the interpretation of the writing. I don't know exactly how accurate this interpretation
it was written
is.
in ancient Sumerian,
yeah. So all we know, this is just basically what I've heard about it, is that there's a myth or a story or a legend, or whatever you want to call it, of us being engineered to help mine and work for this alien species.
We're just like their workhorses.
Exactly. So it's interesting. That's another interesting theory.
It is, and it's maybe that's why they come visit us. Maybe they're checking up on their kids, making sure we're not. And maybe that's why they're deactivating our nukes. They don't want to see their kids fuck around and blow themselves up, But then it's okay, if we were created by aliens, clearly there has to be multiple species of aliens, right? Because you have the pyramid type ships, then you have the fucking little orb ball of light ships, then you have the Tic Tac UFO. So there's all these different kinds of ships. They all seem drastically different from. Some of them seem to be physically made of something, but then you just have the ball of light UFOs. You know what I mean?
Or that translucent that pilot saw, that translucent sphere inside of a cube or something
like what we just read about at the Malmstrom Air Force Base, where it was just a red orb.
Yeah.
So it's which one of these species?
Yeah.
Is our mommy? So.
Yeah, to think that all of those crafts come from the same place,
right?
It's that wouldn't make sense, because they're all so different.
No, they're so different. So it has to be. And Paul Hellyer says that there's multiple species.
Yeah.
So I definitely think if there are aliens, which there are, it's multiple species. Now, that's not what I believe. I don't believe that I believe that there are aliens, but I do not believe that we are the product of alien creation or DNA from another planet. I believe that we were all created by God. And I definitely think there's a high chance that God created, multiple species. I really just don't think he would just put one intelligent species on one planet. Or, maybe he's tried on a bunch of different planets and they've eventually all died off, and now we're just the current one that's inhabiting what?
Tom, this is a perfect segue to our other topic we wanted to talk about, which were the mutated human and monkey cells. Because that's...
how is that?
Because we're literally engineering other creatures right now on this planet.
Oh, yeah.
We're literally engineering creatures. We're talking about other species doing it, but we're literally engineering... What do you call them?
Chimeras.
Chimeras
so
now.
A story came out.
What the heck?
I mean, I'm sure stories like this have been coming out for a while, but recently this story is gaining some traction about a joint United States and China... I don't want to call it an operation, a joint experiment, a joint scientific venture where China and U.S. have apparently been creating human-monkey hybrids. They are taking monkey embryos and infusing them or injecting them with human cells, and those cells are multiplying, and the creature is thriving. But I guess they killed it after 20 days because they realized okay, this is we can't let this shit happen. So anyway, I mean, we've cloned animals before, but the idea of us creating monkey and human, it's first of all, why? Second, and the reason why they'll tell you is they want to use them to study Alzheimer's and other diseases and drugs' effect on our bodies, and then also for organ harvesting. First of all, how fucked up is that? The idea of creating a semi-sentient species, like I don't know, they're monkey-human hybrids, so I don't know if they're like gonna end up being more intelligent than the average monkey.
Form.
But yeah, okay.
It's a life
regardless,
form.
sentient or intelligent or not, the idea of creating a life form, literally just to farm it and kill it to take its organs. I mean, are we farming and killing things for meat and for sustenance? Yeah, and I'm all for that shit. So maybe there's no difference. Maybe there's no difference in farming and creating something to use it for its organs. I don't know. I guess it comes down to how smart this thing is, right? Is it intelligent? Does it have autonomy? Is it...
Okay, well, here's the biggest difference with farm, like with a cow or a pig on a farm and eating it for meat. Like, there's a big difference from that, because you're actually using that to sustain life. Like, you're feeding on it. You know what I mean?
Same thing,
you're
though.
Eating it.
It'd be the same thing, sustaining life.
No, because with that
anytime
process,
someone needs a heart transplant, anytime someone is dying because their liver is failing, swoop, swoop, and bam, you're good to go. You just got 20 more years on the clock. It's the same thing. It's sustaining human life. It all comes down to whether or not these animals are intelligent.
No.
Yeah.
Because, no, here's the thing. Okay.
People already use pig hearts.
No. Here's the problem with that argument with whether it's intelligent or not intelligent. That's the same argument people have for like hunting or killing things. Like, oh, it's an intelligent species, you can just kill it. You know what I mean? Like if a bee flies on you or lands on your cup or something, you just smash it. Oh, you don't think anything of it. Oh, it's a stupid bug. You know what I mean? You just kill it. Oh, it's a spider. Kill it. Is it intelligent or is it not intelligent? And then what is your definition of intelligence? Like, there's a lot of questions that need to be asked, because
self-awareness, the ability to make decisions, the ability, like, autonomy over...
Here's the thing. Every single living organism on this planet wants to be healthy, it wants to eat, it wants to thrive.
It's encoded, right? Except for like certain jellyfish species that have no brains and they're just like mindlessly drifting.
But it still has cells. Living organisms are cells. So even the single cell organisms, they want to live, they want to eat, they want to thrive, they want to reproduce.
Okay.
Those are all basic, like, fundamental things that every living organism wants to do. So at that point, you have to understand that everything is intelligent.
No.
Yes.
No.
Because here's the thing.
Not everything is intelligent.
Here's the thing.
Well, I mean, your definition of intelligence might just be different than mine. But like a fucking spider is not intelligent in the sense of, like, spiders might do smart things like creating a fucking web system of catching other insects to eat them. Like, that's something that you're like, oh wow, that's like birds. Birds will sometimes drop nuts from like a traffic light so that it falls to the ground and it cracks, and like, okay, like, that's an intelligent thing to do. But that's not what I mean when I say intelligence. You know what I mean? Like, it's like when we go to another planet and we're like, will we ever find intelligent life? And it's like, we might go to Mars and find a fucking microscopic, like living bacteria or something. That's life, but it's not intelligent life. You know what I mean?
So what's your definition of intelligence?
Self-awareness, actually having thoughts. I mean, I don't know. I guess I would probably have to look at various scientific definitions of intelligence, and then I could tell you which one I most closely align with. I don't know if I have the words to sit here and write up my own definition of intelligence, but humans are intelligent. I would say dolphins are probably really close. Chimpanzees and other great ape species are probably really close. Everything other than that is not.
So here's why I say...
and whales are probably pretty close.
Elephants, there's a ton of intelligent...
Elephants are probably pretty close.
But here's why I say this, is because I really feel like we don't fully understand a lot about... I mean, even you go talk about dolphins, we're still trying to understand their language. We're still trying to understand certain species. And I only say this because, like, all the way down to an ant, to a single cell organism, is like, how do you know what they're thinking? How do you know what their internal experience is like, right? We only know what our internal, like, we only know what the human...
We can study their brain.
Yes.
And we can understand what they're capable of by looking at their brain.
Yes, but it's very materialistic. I mean, we say we have souls, right? We say we have. I mean, we have the hard problem, which is consciousness, right? We don't know what consciousness is. We're still trying to figure out what these immaterial things are. These things that we can't feel, we can't measure. So, how much of that is involved in every other living organism, right? We don't know if they're conscious or not. We truly don't know because we don't even know for ourselves.
Sure.
So it's like. That's what I'm trying to say about intelligence is like, that's why I feel like every living organism has like this magical aspect to it. Like I was like sitting at the park one day and I was like watching this beetle like walk on the ground. It was like this pretty beetle. I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I was trying to think, I was like, what's making that beetle move? Like what is
just fucking synapses firing. Like he's not going like, oh, I need to go over here.
No, I know.
Oh boy, I hope I find a nice piece of like shit to munch on today. No, it's not just like he's just got like ones and zeros going to eat, move to where the scent of food.
No, that's not my point. I was watching him and trying to think like what's making like living things move and act and react with the environment. Like it's like this table. It's not moving and acting.
Like
and
what
reacting.
is life? What is
like,
causing life?
What's giving it its magical power?
I think about that all the time. I think about that all the time.
To do things, to act and react.
Right.
Like, why is that beetle not just an inanimate object that's just a still thing that's just there?
And I think about that all the time when people talk about the Big Bang. And they're like, okay, there was nothing, and then there was everything, this giant explosion, and then all the planets and all that shit. But it's like, how did life come out of that? The ability, this like magic energy that makes something move and like walk around and eat and
that's what I'm
feel
saying.
pain and like feel. Which is why I don't subscribe to the Big Bang, because I just don't understand how it would explain. Like, why does anything need to be alive? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like when I was like, I had this moment where I was looking at this beetle, and I was just like, that beetle has the same whatever life force, life energy, whatever you want to call it, whatever's making that thing alive is the same thing that's making me alive.
Sure.
It's the exact same thing. Whatever it is, I don't know what you call it, but
I don't know if it's the exact same thing, but
no, it's the exact same thing. It is. It's alive. It's moving. It's reacting. It's acting. It's eating. It's doing its thing, right?
But you are alive,
and I see,
and your brain is having it. Just because two things are alive, it doesn't mean they are experiencing the same state of aliveness.
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm not saying that. So I want to be clear, because it's like the same thing that makes a single cell organism move, right? Mm-hmm. A little baby bacteria or a virus or anything in life that's moving, and it has like some type of
life. It
object.
has life.
It has life. Like that, whatever that is, whatever that gives it life is the same thing that makes everything alive and living in this environment. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So like, I'm not trying to say that it has the same brain, it has the same thoughts, I'm not trying to say that. I'm trying to say that everything that's alive is alive because of the same reason. Mm-hmm. We're all living the same, in that same context. Like, we're all alive. Mm-hmm. Whatever that is, however it's happening, like, it's hard to explain. And like, and I only say that to tie that back to like how, like, I guess I see everything in a different way. Like, I see everything as like precious and divine, and like that has like this sacredness to it. Like, it's energy and it's living, and it's like it has the right to live out however it was evolved, or whatever you want to call it, to be that thing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like obviously I would never just like see a bug going by and just be like, ha ha ha, fucking smush, you know? Yeah. Like, but also if I like ever accidentally stepped on a beetle, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I've robbed you of your like precious life. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like, yeah, it's alive. It is amazing. But I just don't, like, there are people that view the life of, you know, fucking weasel to be of the same worth as like the life of a human. Like, a lot of PETA people, they believe that, like, if you're eating a chicken, if you killed a chicken and you ate it, you committed a crime equal to murder. You just murdered, like, all life is worth the exact same. Chicken and a human should be the same charge of murder.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. Yeah, like, that's crazy.
Here's my view on this, because like, I genuinely try to go out of my way to hurt or kill any creature or anything. Like just the other day, did I tell you that story? The spider that was on my porch?
No.
Okay, well, like, there was a spider who kept coming back to my porch. Like, it would build a little nest. Like, I just moved, and I set up all my plants on my patio, and this spider was coming onto one of my little lemon trees, and he was making a web. And Bree was like, hey, I don't like that spider there. You know what I mean? I don't want it to crawl on me or whatever, right? I'm like, okay, cool. Like, she's like, get rid of it. I was like, okay, I'll get rid of it. So like, so I genuinely didn't mean to get rid of it at first. Like, I accidentally destroyed his web by accident. And I was like, oh, well, I guess that handles the problem. He'll move on, right? And he built it again. And then this happened 3 more times where I accidentally destroyed his thing because he was just right there.
How were you accidentally
because
destroying
I moved my plants around and I water them and do stuff like that.
Right.
And he was building it on the leaves, connected to like a bar. And so I'd like move the plant and it'll destroy it. And it happened like 3 times. He continued to do it. He did it again. I don't know why I'm calling it a he, but it
don't
did it
misgender the spider.
Yeah, so he did it again for the last time, right? I was like, okay, you got to go, man. I'm sorry. So I got like a little leaf, try to get him to go on the leaf, which he did, and then I put him out into the bushes. He's perfectly fine. So like I'm that kind of person where like I don't understand why would I just go and smash it and kill it when I can just easily get rid of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? If it's obviously not gonna kill me, I know it's not gonna. I mean, maybe I get a bite or something at the worst. I'll be fine. I'm not really worried about that. But like I literally go out of my way to not harm things. Like every once in a while, if I have to kill a gnat or something, like fine, like I get it out of my apartment. Like that's whatever. Like I'm doing something to. I feel like there's at least a reason to it, but, like, and I think everyone should go through life like that and just honor life. No matter what it is, like, I feel like we should just honor that something is alive and it has the right to live.
No, I agree.
And I don't think that, like, this is my personal opinion. I don't think that any single person has the right to take the life of anything else. I genuinely don't, unless there's, like, context behind it. Unless there's some reason, like a real reason why you're killing this species or this
well, what about
this
for
thing, right?
food?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a reason. There's a genuine reason. Hey, you're hungry. You want to eat, or you know what I mean? Okay, fine. But like other than that, if you're just going around killing things for just because, like,
I mean, I'm sure everyone would consider that to just be like psychotic. If you were just like, yeah, I'm gonna go kill like, I'm gonna walk onto a farm and just like start killing cows. Yeah, that would be crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we're doing that today. Like people are doing things like that today without, whether they're like conscious of it or not. Like we're doing things like that all the time. Like whether we're building like giant oil rigs in the middle of the ocean that pop and kill millions of things, or
but
fishing
you could
industry,
also say
like,
that that's for a reason. Like you said, okay, it's okay if you're doing it for a reason. If that oil well is going to provide the oil that fuels loads of shit, makes loads of petroleum products, makes cars go places, it's a reason. We built that oil thing there to benefit our lives.
Yeah.
So,
but if we knowingly know that it will eventually like cause harm and destroy certain things,
right? Like you could go.
Know that we know because through experience, like we know that it can cause great devastation.
I mean, you could go as far as to say like those things are permissible only if the need that you are trying to fulfill is essential to life, like eating or drinking, or like. But oil is not a necessity for life. It has become something that we have grown to need.
The same with like palm trees and like with the need for palm oil and things like that. Like right now we're destroying rainforest to build a tree.
Right.
I mean to grow trees for oil, for food. So okay, like obviously people know that we're destroying life to do these things, right? So like there's things like that happening all the time. Where like right now we're living in a mass extinction.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you look up, like, 'cause I'm genuinely curious right now, what is the rate at which species are going extinct? Like, is it like every other hour or something like that another species is extinct? Because right now people don't realize that we're just living our daily lives, going about our lives, but yet millions of species are going extinct.
24 species a day, 8,700 per year. 8,700 per year. That is nuts. First of all, it's nuts that Earth has enough species to where we are going years of exterminating 8,700 per year. Imagine that, 24 per day, and yet we still have millions of species,
Look, it even says every day up to 150 are lost a day. Like
how are they even calculating that?
I mean, just think about it. How many species are undiscovered that we don't even know about are in the rainforest that we cut down one acre?
That's what I'm saying. How do they know that 24 a day?
That's just an estimate.
But how are they finding? How are they estimating that?
Even if that's the lowest end, like that's insane.
Sure, it's fucking nuts.
So, like, I mean, these are scientists who are. I mean, even if you cut that in half.
But how could they know?
Cut that number in half. And
sure.
It's still dramatic.
I'm not arguing about the significance of the number. The number is fucking nuts. I'm just asking you, how the fuck do they know how many species we're exterminating every day?
Dude, just think about this. Think about 1 acre of the rainforest. Any rainforest. Think about 1 acre.
Sure.
How many species are in just 1 acre? You can do that, right? You can do that math. The scientists can say, okay, there's roughly X amount of species
they don't know
in this acre. You know what I'm saying? And then you can say how many. Then you can say this: how many species or how many animals of this species are in existence? Okay, there's roughly this number. So if this acre or this amount of acres are being destroyed per day, or this amount of, you know what I mean?
That's
then you can get a roughly guess.
That's the thing. It's all just a guess. I'm sure the number is still crazy. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's just a guess.
Yeah.
But yes, it's nuts. But okay, going back to what we were saying originally about us creating a species solely for the purpose of using it to study diseases, testing drugs on it, and harvesting its organs. Is that different than mass farming animals for meat? Raising them to slaughter, raising to kill. Because
it's not very different.
Because you said that
here's the only difference.
It's important for it to serve a need, and if they are serving the need of providing us with organs we can use to prolong our life. What?
Here's the biggest difference. I only brought that analogy up for I forgot even why I brought that up, but I mean, here's the obvious big reason is the fact that we're literally creating a life form that's never existed before. We're creating a mutant species that has never existed on this planet before. Okay, that's one problem.
Nuts.
That's one problem. Here's the second problem. We're killing it. Okay, we're saying, okay, now we created something. Now because we've created it, now we feel like we have the right to kill it. So it's like there's a couple of problems there, and then another huge problem is the public has no right or say in what the science experience are going. So there's a few quite huge problems or questions that need to be answered in that. So
would you say that it is wrong for us to play God and create a species? And if so, why is it wrong?
I haven't thought too deeply about it, but my instinct says, yeah, it's wrong.
Something about it just feels
Something about
wrong,
it feels
right?
very wrong. I mean, I can just see an infinite amount of problems that happens with that because, I mean, you're just talking about how does that species react with viruses and other microorganisms, and how is that going to influence us? Like, can something like, can it accelerate certain things that have an influence on us that could be harmful to us? Or, like, I mean, there's so many things that could go wrong with that, man. And the moral issue around it, like, is immense. Like, it's a huge question that I think you should have the best minds in the world thinking about what we should be
voting on it. The people deserve to choose. You know what I mean?
Well, then here's the thing. Then, if we're gonna vote on it, we need to know everything.
Everything.
We have
Full
to be
disclosure.
informed. We have to be informed on what's exactly happening, how is it happening, and why is it happening, and what is the implications of the future of this happening. Like, science needs to be on top of this. And we can tie this into AI, because AI in itself could be another living organism, another form of a living organism that's autonomously, so like there's another problem that Elon Musk has touched on many times about, I mean, what are the implications of that? And no one's getting a right or say or voting on that. And no one's policing it. Same thing with this. So it's a huge problem that needs to be answered for sure. Yep. So I can't give you the best answer because I don't know. Like, there's just so many factors that go into that. But, like, honestly, like, I'm a naturalist. I don't know if that's what it's called, but, like, I'm someone who just wants nature to be left alone. Like, stop messing with nature. Let it do its thing. It's intelligent. The earth is alive. It's living. It knows what to do. And if we leave it alone and we live harmoniously, I think everything will be okay, and everything will flow the way it's meant to flow. You know what I mean? Once we start fucking with things and altering and bioengineering and trying to manipulate nature in the way we want to I just don't see anything really good coming from it. Yeah, you can make innovations in science and in medicine and whatever, but ultimately, like, is that really helping us, like, in long terms, or is it helping? Because we're only thinking of us. Yeah. Okay, how's it going to help us? No, okay, how is it going to help life? How's it going to help the Earth? How's it going to help the universe? Like, or our solar system? Like, I don't know, man. It's just a lot to, like,
it is a lot
to dissect, but that's just how I am. Though I just want things to be natural and let things be organic and the way they should be.
It's just crazy that we have the ability to do it.
Yeah, it is crazy. It's insane, actually. Like, we're playing God. In many ways, we're playing God.
Yeah. And it's not just with that. You know, it's like these particle colliders, you know, these, like the Large Hadron Collider. And I mean, there's a lot of particle colliders out there. But every day those things are operating. And every time they flip that thing on, it opens up the door for the potential, some sort of potential cataclysmic event. They could form a black hole. They could create some sort of really dangerous dark matter explosion. They could fucking open a portal in time. They could do anything with one of those things, completely on accident, you know?
Totally.
And every day those things are spooling up and they're using them. And we never get to say.
You get no say.
Like, they could literally end the world tomorrow on accident.
Right.
And I would say, what percentage of the world do you think even knows what a particle collider is, B, the fact that, like, there are a bunch of them and they're operating constantly?
2%? No.
I mean, think about it. How, of the 7.5 billion people on Earth, how many people are aware of the significance of particle colliders?
I would say 10%. And then of that 10%, the ones who actually understand what's happening or the implications of it, maybe 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do we do about that? I mean, do we educate the masses? And then, because think about how many things we're given to vote on, but they never give people the resources to, like, I mean, obviously you have the internet at your disposal, but it's just like, I feel like we have to be able to give people the ability to say whether or not, so as a species, you know what I mean?
This was a huge problem in ancient Greece, where you had different thoughts and different schools of thought on voting, and should someone who is not educated be able to vote.
Right.
It was a huge thing because the ideas, I forget which philosophers or which politicians in ancient Greece had these conversations and these thoughts, but, like, basically the idea was, like, if you have an uninformed voter, could they possibly hurt the country versus, like, you know, versus making sure everyone can vote? Is that more important, or is it more important that people are informed voters? So I think that I'm on the side of informed voters. I think that you should probably have to take a test, or at least have very basic common knowledge on what's happening in order to vote. Because otherwise you could possibly be hurting.
Yeah, of
you know
course.
what I mean?
And what they do is, in order to curb that, they say, oh, well, you can't vote unless you're 18, right? You have to be 18 to vote.
Yeah.
As if somehow that means that all 18-year-olds are cognizant enough of world issues to be able to make educated decisions. And in the same vein, we let 85-year-olds vote who could be completely out of touch and, like, have, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Like, we have people using their values from the 50s to vote and decide who's going to lead us for years, even after they're not even on this fucking planet anymore.
Here, people just want to go vote. Like, okay, here's your probably most average voter. They see a commercial, an ad, a propaganda fucking ad, and they're just like, I'm voting for that guy. You know, how many people do you think
that guy has a funny commercial? I'm gonna go vote for that guy. Yeah. Or even worse,
or the smear campaign.
I gotta vote so I can go get my sticker and take a fucking Instagram story picture. You know, like,
like how.
But you could never ever. There's no way they will ever implement a test before you vote, because then people would say that it was discriminatory, and that it was, you know, they would say it was racist, or they would say it was.
Forget what people say, dude. We need to understand that we can't let people hold back, like.
But there are people that would argue that is hindering human life. Like there are people that would argue it is wrong to force people to take a test to vote.
They would. For
So
sure.
it would just be an argument that goes round and round. But there's never ever going to be a way where people are forced to take like a fucking intelligence test.
Man. Well, we need something because I think that would dramatically influence the way the future of our country, the future of every country.
You should have to when you enter the voting booth, right? You should have to put on headphones and watch a 5-minute video that goes over. It's like, okay,
cool.
These are the two. It'd be hard for smaller elections, but it would be all right, see, there's a little wheel in there, right? And you have to scroll and select it over the candidate. When you hit the button to select that candidate, you should have to watch a 2-minute video per click that tells you because think about how many people just scroll through and just fucking click Democrat, 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 or Republican, Republican, for offices they don't even fucking know exist.
Yeah.
And they're just I'm just going to vote for every Democrat I see.
Yeah.
You should have to watch a 2-minute video for every time you click. That would totally dissuade people from fucking just clicking on everyone. And you just have to watch a 2-minute video where it's hello, you are voting for Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson stands for, and it's and the candidates can even write their own policies. They can say, this is my stance on abortion. This is my stance on a 1 or 2 sentence stance on, this is my stance on climate control. This is my stance on abortion. This is my stance on economic spending. This is my stance on foreign policy, whatever. And you do not get to hit vote until you've watched the video for that candidate or something.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I just came up with that off the top of my head. It could be a horrible idea, but
no, it's something. We need something to, you know what I mean? Because obviously this conversation isn't being had in politics. I don't think at all. I don't think I haven't heard this conversation be brought up at all. But when you look at ancient Greece and these other places where voting originally started, or the original democracies first came from, where our system is entirely based on, we should be looking at those thinkers and those original people who originally had, because they had the original problems, they had the original solutions, they had those were the first. So why aren't we learning from that at all? We're not at all. We're completely lost into our own little system. It's pretty crazy, but yeah.
How long have we been going for?
Hour 30.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I'm feeling good.
Yeah? You want to call it, or is there anything else you want to talk about?
Was there no, we talked about the ape humans, talked about UFOs.
Talked about a lot of shit.
I think we covered enough. We're good.
I think we're good. All right. Well, shit, that one was wild. We went through a lot of stuff. But that's how I like it. I like it when we just
That's how we do it, man.
We started it. What did we start with?
Transgender?
No,
something like
we
that.
talked for a while before that. I don't know, but somehow we went through fucking particle colliders, voting, pronouns, chimeras, nuclear warfare, a lot of shit, and hail. I think we mentioned hail earlier.
And
or
tornadoes.
The weather, yeah, tornadoes. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to the Midnight Variety Hour. We always have fun doing this, whether we talk about something that is personal just to us, something we just care about, or whether we care about, or whether we're talking about a topic that expands to all of humanity. We love talking about any and everything. So whenever you want, if there's anything you ever want us to talk about, send us an email at, what is it, or is it?
Yep, that's it.
midnightvariety@gmail.com?
Yep.
Write us at midnightvariety@gmail.com to hear us talk about whatever the fuck you want. I swear to you.
Or just comment in the
comment.
our
I swear to you, we will
YouTube.
talk about it. Literally anything. Ask us who would win in a fight between two people. We will talk about it. That's what we're here for. And ask us about people that you want to have on the show. Can't guarantee that I'll get them. If your dumbass says you want us to talk to Mike Tyson, we can try, but I can't guarantee it'll happen. So until then, read up on the shit you vote for, and don't start any nuclear wars.
PLP.
PLP, and stay safe out there in the cosmos.
Peace.